Coming up, a musician searches for purpose and truth, and a young man is kidnapped and thrown off a cliff. See how he survived.
Well, welcome to 700 Club Canada today. It's a special day.
Yeah, it's your birthday! Happy birthday, Lori. 37 today?
It's close to that, Bill. It's close to that. Okay, funny true story. Years ago, I was a guest on 700 Club Canada, and Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson. Many of you have been watching for years. You remember Laura Lynn. And it was her birthday, and I actually said her age, and she was horrified.
Oh, yeah, I would never do that to you.
Oh, well, I'm actually not that uptight about it, but, you know.
Okay, so you can tell everybody how old you are then?
Well, it's a big one. Put it that way. It's a big one. And I started writing out, reflecting on each year of my life. Like, what would I say to my younger self?
Right.
It's been kind of a neat exercise, so.
I like it.
Sure.
And you know what I love about birthdays? Is they remind us that God put us on this planet for a reason. And so today, God put you on this planet for a reason, and thank you for sharing that reason with all of us who watch regularly on the 700 Club Canada.
Oh, thank you, Bill, and thank you, friends, and I feel the love coming through, so
Good.
thank you.
Well, now, Kira, an accomplished pianist, singer, and songwriter, searches for God's plan for her life. Maybe it was her birthday, too.
Maybe.
My life was music. It was my purpose. It was my self-worth. It was everything.
Kira Fontana's passion for music started when she was a little girl. Learning to play piano by ear at 5 and writing songs at 7, she was a natural. And as a young Catholic girl, she came to believe it was part of God's plan.
I would literally pray by my bedside every night, God, I'll go anywhere you want me to go. I'll do anything you want me to do. I just wanted to serve.
Music also became an escape from a sometimes difficult home life that ended in her parents' divorce.
It had given me purpose out of a childhood that was very painful. So I didn't have anything, but I had the music.
Kira pursued her dreams with enthusiasm and went on to earn a master's in composition at Yale. Recognized as an accomplished pianist, singer, and songwriter, she released her first album in 2007. And while her music explored spiritual, positive themes, she had begun to question her beliefs about God.
There were certain things that I just felt like I had to go a different direction, but I did seek God. Now, looking back, I go, okay, is it the God of the Bible? I was confused on certain things.
Then in her early 30s, Kira moved to LA, ready to make a splash in the pop music industry. Her music and her creative vision, however, received a chilly reception, the worst coming from a higher-up in the music industry.
This is meaning of life stuff. Nobody wants to hear this. You need to write about this. You need to be the next this person. And I just got the message. Nobody wants what you have to offer. My depression sunk in like nothing I'd ever felt. It's like I had no sense of purpose anymore. I stopped writing, I stopped singing.
She did, however, find work as a vocal coach and started working with top talent from around the world. That only made the pain of failure that much harder to swallow.
They had what I thought I wanted, and so it was like this extra in my face all the time. Not only do you not have it, but you're going to watch everybody else have it all the time.
To cope with her disappointment and shattered dreams, Kira dove deeper into her spiritual search, exploring meditation and Eastern mysticism. Eventually, she started attending a spiritual center in LA to pursue truth through greater enlightenment.
I let go of all concepts of Jesus, of the devil, of evil. God is more of a universal force of goodness and love and light. I'm meditating to feel more peace. I'm meditating to transcend the things I don't like about my environment, because I think that's the goal. I'm seeking God in the way that I understand.
It was all she had left.
Here I was with the one thing left that made me feel safe in the world, that gave me purpose and identity. So the music had died, and then I found that in the spirituality.
Then in 2016, Kira heard a different version of truth. Her two brothers had been sharing their newfound faith in Jesus Christ. She remembers one of them challenging her to examine her beliefs.
There was absolutely something spiritual in me that hated what he was saying. And I said, Jesus is a great spiritual teacher. Jesus was very enlightened, whatever my New Age view of Jesus was. And I literally had the gall to say, I just try to live like Jesus lived. I'm not out drinking and partying and this and that. So you might need that, but I don't. I thought that I knew truth. And I thought they were kind of stumbling around in the darkness and kind of found something that worked for them. And I thought they were sinners. And I thought I wasn't.
There was one person she would listen to, her mother. She had also given her life to Christ.
Would you just pray to see truth? Just pray to see truth. And I said, that I can do. I did it over and over. And if there is anything to this Jesus thing, that he would show me who Jesus is.
Kira says as she prayed over the next year, God did show her the truth about himself and her need for a Savior. So she stopped going to the spiritual center and started attending church and a Bible study. One sermon made Kira realize her search all those years had more to do about her than God.
Everything I'd ever focused on was me. I've fallen so short of what God would want. I just said, I hope you pull me out of this. Like, I'm willing to walk through this darkness, but I hope you pull me out of it because I can't pull myself out. I was finally ready to let him take over. And when I gave my life to Jesus, it was a very serious thing for me.
Over the next few months, Kira prayed for God's direction for her life.
He redeemed every area of my life that had been broken, everything I'd ever lost.
That included her music. Following God's lead, Kira started an independent Christian music label and started writing and recording worship music, finding fulfillment and pointing others to Jesus Christ.
You're my refuge.
All of my lost purpose I got back, but it wasn't the worldly tiny purpose I had. It was like, no, you're alive to serve me. You're alive to glorify me. And it blew my whole world open and everything finally made sense.
You're my refuge.
Kira's story is actually very common today. There are many people that would consider themselves spiritual, searching for God and meaning and purpose in their life through New Age practices. And I notice a common belief among those who call themselves spiritual. In fact, just yesterday, I had a conversation with someone that would consider themselves spiritual. And this was true of our conversation. Jesus is a good example. He's even a prophet, but he's not God. There's actually no talk of Satan or the demonic either. And Kira said that this was the kind of thinking that opened her up to other powers, but left her empty. Maybe you would consider yourself spiritual, or someone is on that journey in your own life. Well, listen to the advice of her mother. Moms give good advice. She said, would you just pray to see truth? And that's what Kira did. And she found the truth, and his name is Jesus. Jesus said in John 14:6, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Do you know that all other religions say, look to my teaching? But Jesus says, look to me. He is the person of the living God, and he is the one who brings truth. He's the one who brings healing, and he is above any other power on the earth, above the earth, or under the earth, Scripture says. So if you're searching for meaning and purpose in your life, you need to look to the person of Jesus, because he is the one who promises that he will give it life to you, and he will give it to you abundantly. We have a resource simply called New Age, New Life. And I think there's someone out there that either you want this or there's someone that might benefit from this. So call us at 1-855-759-0700. We'd love to be a support to you. Well, up next, he was presumed dead. See how a miracle allowed a niece to survive a kidnapping.
Anis grew up in Pakistan, where it's difficult to be a Christian.
In Pakistan, they have a parliament law, it's called 295C. So they can use that law against you, that you said something against Islam, and they can actually put you to death, and it's legal.
This made for a hard life for Anis, who was forced to hide his Christian identity.
Because if I told them I'm Christian, so they will bully me, and they will try to convert me, and force me to convert and beat me and stuff like that. I was so scared.
It was also a confusing time for him. In school, he was taught the beliefs of the Quran, and at home, the Bible.
At home, I believe like Jesus, Son of God. And like over there, they're saying, no, he's not a son of God. He's just one of the prophet God sent us. And I was like, so like, my faith was very shaky.
When Anis was still a young boy, his father became a pastor and moved the family to a small town to start a church. And that's where the real persecution began. One night, at midnight, people burst into their home and began beating them.
I think I was 10-year-old at that time. They dashed me on the floor. I broke my tooth. I got some stitches here. And like, I was like blood all over the place. And they pretty much left us dead.
The attacks happened frequently and for many years. Then, one day, in broad daylight, while Anis was walking through the market alone, he was kidnapped.
So someone came behind me and I got knocked out. When I woke up, I was in a totally different environment. The area was totally different. And my body was aching. And I thought like maybe I'm dead and maybe I'm in heaven or maybe this is hell. I don't know where I am. And I started shouting, help me, somebody help me. And I saw it's like a cliff. I'm like on top of a cliff. I'm like, how did I get here?
Anis was helped by some local people and soon discovered he was over 3,000 kilometers from home.
At that time, I had no idea like what's happening. I was still thinking this is a dream. Like I'm in a dream and I'm just gonna wake up and say, oh, okay, I'm still home. But like it was actually real.
After several days of hitchhiking, Anis arrived back at home to learn the truth about what had happened to him.
And some people were on the phone. They said, we have your son, and we're gonna throw him off this cliff. You have to accept Islam right now. If you don't do it, we're gonna throw him right now. Then my dad said, as soon as they were saying this, God spoke to me right away, and he said, say no to them, and I'll bring your son back. And somehow my dad said no to them, and they hung up the phone, and they threw me off the cliff. Somehow I didn't actually go down all the way. If I went there, I would know more. And that was a turning point in my life. Like actually there's actually a God who actually exists, who's actually gonna take care of all of us.
Anis knew what happened to him was meant for God's purpose. He shared his story, and many who heard began coming to church and accepting Christ.
I always went to church just because my dad was a pastor and, just a regular Christian life. I was just going there. But that was a turning point. I'm like, yes, there's a God. He brought me home from all that.
As Anis' faith grew, the persecution intensified, and he and his family were forced to flee their town for good due to greater threats on their lives.
We stayed in hotels. We even stayed in a hospital for like a whole 2 months just to keep ourselves safe. And my dad said, okay, this is it. We should just go back. If they kill us, they will kill us because that's the Bible says, they will kill you in my name. And we have to be example to those people. Same night, we went back to our beds and I heard this God's voice, so clear. And God said, you're not going back. I got bigger plans for you. So we said, okay, we're not going back. We decided.
Their incredible journey led them to Sri Lanka, where they survived a tsunami and a civil war before ultimately arriving as refugees in Canada in 2011. Today, Anis shares his testimony of the faithfulness of God during the most difficult times.
Don't give up on God, because he never gave up on you. Because he loves you a lot, and every situation he puts you in, there's a motive behind it. God, he's love. He actually does not give up on his people.
You ever watch these stories and go, did that really happen? Well, it really did. I know Anis. He goes to my church and he is the real deal. His story is powerful. I love what he said, don't give up on God because he never gives up on you. Maybe you're wondering like, well, okay, that sounds great, but what does it actually mean? You know, as I was listening to Anissa's story, I thought of the Apostle Paul. And so in Paul's life, he had been in prison, beaten, his life had been threatened, he was shipwrecked. And he said, I had this thorn in the flesh. I'd gone through all of these things. And so in 2 Corinthians 12:8, he prays to God. It says, 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take this thing away from me. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. So, do you rejoice in your weakness? Do you rejoice in your hardship? And what does it even mean to do that? I mean, does it mean we should go looking for trouble so that we can rejoice? Well, no. Or does it mean that if I don't have hardship in my life, I'm not really living for God? No, it doesn't mean that either. It just means that when you have trouble, and you will have trouble, that God is able to turn what the enemy means for evil, and he can turn it into something good. It really depends on what you choose to see and what you choose to believe. I've experienced this in my own life. I had a terrible accident in Costa Rica, and I remember being in the hospital talking to the doctor, and I had this thought, and I told him, I was supposed to meet you today. And I told him the story of what God had done in my life. And so again, when you see God in everything, even in your weakness, in your pain, in your insults, in your persecution, he can turn it into something powerful, something beautiful, and I want that for you today. So do you need to see God and the purpose in your hardship? Why not call us at 1-855-759-0700. We'd love to pray with you and put this pamphlet, Hope, into your hands. Well, now, Christine shares what it's been like to spend 40 years working for NASA.
Russia orbits Sputnik 1, the Earth's first man-made satellite.
The year is 1957. Russia had just launched into space Sputnik. It came as a shock to many Americans, including a 16-year-old named Christine Darden.
Soviet fires Earth satellite into space. It has circled the globe at 18,000 miles an hour. We were afraid that the Russians were flying over us and might drop a bomb.
Although afraid of war like many at the time, Christine, a high school senior, had no interest in being a part of America's space race. Her dream was to be a mathematician.
At the same time I realized that math was a passion, I also realized how much I enjoyed physical science. And that led on to the physics also.
As a child, her inquisitive nature had her dismantling a doll her mother had given her.
Well, the doll talked. What's inside that doll that's making it talk?
By the time she was attending Hampton University, Christine was undaunted as a student. Taking 6 math classes at one time, she was often the only woman in a classroom full of men. Her faith and determination pushed her forward.
Things in the Bible helped me live the life and believe that God can help me do certain things and work with me in certain ways. Well, how can I take 6 math courses?
As she worked to complete a degree in mathematics, her father encouraged her to get a teaching certificate.
Because Dad thought I wouldn't get a job otherwise. I think my mind turned to people are not hiring African-American mathematicians, maybe because African-Americans weren't becoming mathematicians.
With some notable exceptions, including 3 African-American women who were mathematicians working across town at NASA. They had not only broken the racial barrier, they had helped put a man in space.
And Katherine Johnson's daughter was my classmate there.
One of the hidden figures depicted in the movie based on Margot Lee Shetterly's book, Katherine Johnson also helped put a man on the moon. Still, Christine hadn't considered she could one day work at NASA. So, she graduated and began teaching mathematics.
And the students tell me when I talk that they can hear the passion in my voice.
She didn't stay in one place long. Her love for numbers had her driving 80 miles on the weekends to Petersburg to take upper-level math courses at Virginia State University. It was there that her hard work and talent were recognized. She was hired as a research assistant for the head of the physics department. Now married, Christine and her husband Walter, who was pursuing his own career, began working on their master's degrees.
I was headed toward graduation. I went by the placement office at Virginia State.
A chance meeting with a woman who worked in the placement office would propel her into a profession she had never considered.
I don't think I had thought about that. I hadn't even thought about NASA being here. She said, "Where have you been? Didn't you know NASA was here recruiting yesterday? You fill out this application. I'm going to mail it in tomorrow. I want this back in the morning." And she sent it in, and 2.5 weeks later, I had an offer from NASA.
Christine was among the last of the so-called human computers or data analysts to be hired at NASA. It didn't take long before she wanted to do more.
I brought up the issue of why is the male with the math degree doing the engineering and the female with the math degree drawing a curve, which is what I was doing at first. And that was when I went to the director and said, why is it that you're not treating the same backgrounds with the same kinds of jobs? You're giving people who have pretty much the same background, but you're giving them vastly different jobs. I left his office, and that was when I got promoted. I got transferred.
Now an aerospace engineer, Christine became an internationally known expert in high-speed aerodynamics and sonic booms, specifically by writing a computer program on sonic boom minimization.
When a plane is flying supersonically, a conical form shapes on the nose of the airplane. And all of the disturbances, shocks coming off the airplane, the molecules that get pushed out of the way and everything, all stop at the edge of this cone.
She also became the first African-American woman to be promoted to the Senior Executive Service. During her 40 years at NASA, she's been recognized for many awards and honors, including being written about as the fourth hidden figure. At 78 years old and ever learning, Christine continues to work on math problems.
Wonder what else we can do in this world with math that hasn't been done.
Hello, my name is Michelle, and I'm a prayer partner with 700 Club Canada. We have an amazing team waiting to pray with you, and we're available every day. We want to make it easy for you to connect with us. All you have to do is pick up your phone and call us at our toll-free number, 1-855-759-0700. And don't forget to let us know how God answered your prayers. We want to celebrate in your victories too. Our number again is 1-855-759-0700. We look forward to connecting with you today.
Hi, I'm Julie Hunter, the Executive Director of Windsor Life Center. I would like to personally thank 700 Club Canada partners for your generosity. Because of you, we can continue on with our programming. Windsor Life Center is an 18-bed live-in treatment center for women battling with drugs and alcohol addictions. These women come in broken from traumas, from abuse, from their addictions, and hopeless. But they leave after a year with us with new coping mechanisms, a healthier lifestyle. Most give their life to Jesus Christ and learn their identity in Him, and they have hope for their future. So thank you so much for your generosity.
I hope that you are encouraged and inspired by the stories we share here on the 700 Club Canada. And I want to invite you to be a part of encouraging and inspiring many more people in Canada by becoming a new monthly partner. You can join for just $20 a month or more, $40 or $84, whatever level you're able to do. And when you become a partner today, you'll receive our latest CD. And as a monthly partner, you can also listen to it on the CBN Family app of Pat Robertson's stirring and inspiring reading of the Apostle Paul's letter to the Ephesians, along with a special teaching entitled Ephesians, Putting on the Armor of God. So why not call us today at 1-855-759-0700 and partner with us to spread this amazing message all across this nation.
All these weapons are having to do with spiritual warfare. We can't deal against Satan unless we understand the fullness of the gospel. There will be fiery darts coming at you. All this armor of God is so important to the Christian to stand fast against the devil's wiles.
Get Pat's new audio recording, Putting on the Armor of God, available now.
Well, Bill, as you know, it's my birthday today. So I'm just saying that because my good friend John Maxwell, who I used to work for and just have learned so much from him, he said, there's 2 great days in your life. The day when you're born and the day when you discover why you're born.
Oh,
and you know what? I have found that to be true. That when you discover your purpose, your meaning, your value in life, which is really that identity conversation we love to have.
Right.
That actually is the propelling factor towards giving you reason and purpose to live.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful. And I also think sometimes it takes a while to figure that out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, especially if you're watching and maybe you're a young person or you know someone you love who's a young person, they get frustrated because they think they should know it by the time they're 12 or whatever, or by university. And it's a journey, it's a process. But yeah, you're right. Purpose is listening to God's voice and just saying, okay, today, what do you want me to do today? I think sometimes we get so hung up on the Facebook, Instagram world, right? But we have to be something great. But really, greatness is, like you said, just being who God has created you to be.
Yes. And that's really it. The more you know who you are and who you belong to, then what you do, actually, it almost doesn't matter.
Right.
It flows out of that in such a free way. I used to be much more uptight in my life about all the things that I did, but a lot of it's because I was looking to feed my own identity and purpose and meaning. But now it's like what I do is so much easier. There's a lot more freedom because it's coming from a place of, I know who I belong to.
Well, and maybe to flip the narrative too, I think a lot of people think my purpose is what other people think of me. But really, that is not your purpose. Your purpose is to simply care what God thinks about me.
That's right.
And the truth is, when you read the stories of the Bible, you know, many of these heroes, they just did one thing or 2 things, and that they were just obedient. They were in the right place at the right time and did the right thing. And so no matter where you're at in your life, that can be your experience today as well.
That's true.
Well, we do have some, partner comments.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Sherry said, God bless you for all that you do at the 700 Club Canada. I'm honored to be a new partner.
And Frida said, thank you so much for all your work and the hours you put in. God bless you. I'm 91 years of age, and I love the 700 Club Canada program. I hope I make it to 91.
You are going to make it to 91. I'm just speaking that into your life right now.
Thank you. I received that.
Our power verse for today is in Psalm 23, verses 1-3, where it says, the Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures.
He leads me beside quiet waters, and he refreshes my soul.
Wow. Well, I hope you're having an amazing day, whether it's your birthday or not. God does have a purpose for you. Thank you so much for watching.
To contact us, visit 700club.ca.
On tomorrow's program, never underestimate the power of prayer, which saves a man during a hiking accident and saves a pregnant woman fighting against COVID.